Heartland fans, brace yourselves because Season 19 just delivered one of the most unforgettable finals in the show's history. From tear-streaked reunions to shocking confessions and long overdue moments of truth, this season closed out with a tidal wave of emotion that reminded us all why we fell in love with the Heartland family. In the first place, it's been a season of reckoning and redemption where every character was pushed to their limits, and no heart was left untouched. Lou's devastating accident shattered the illusion of safety, forcing everyone to reevaluate what truly matters, and through it all, Amy stood as the emotional anchor, not only fighting to save Stetson, Lou's beloved horse, but also uncovering a deeper strength within herself to heal wounds no one could see. But that was just the beginning. The ranch's annual open house, usually a celebration of hope, became the backdrop for life-altering decisions. Amy and Nathan, after a season of silent tension and fleeting glances, finally confronted the feelings they've been too afraid to name. Caleb found peace in the ashes of the past. Tim dropped a truth bomb that shook the very foundations of the family in KDO. Katie discovered a sense of purpose and bravery that signals a powerful new chapter for the next generation. In this special episode breakdown, we're diving deep into every powerful moment, every unspoken word, and every twist that made this finale one for the ages. So saddle up, because this ride isn't over yet, and if Season 19 proved anything, it's that Heartland still has the power to break us, heal us, and leave us breathless. This wasn't just a season finale, it was Heartland at its most raw, heartfelt, and unforgettable. If you thought you were ready, think again. Episode 10, Lou's Recovery, took us on an emotional roller coaster from life-threatening moments to soul-healing reconciliations. So buckle up, because here's your full breakdown of the episode that reminded us why we fell in love with this show in the first place. The story picked up in chaos, Caleb sprinting for help, Amy sobbing as she tried to wake Lou, and the rest of the family converging, terrified and confused. Tim and Jack returned to an eerily empty ranch, only to discover that everything had changed in a heartbeat. Lou was unconscious but alive, her pulse steady, giving everyone a fragile thread of hope. Thanks to Caleb's quick thinking, the ambulance arrived just in time. With Amy refusing to leave Lou's side, the rest of the family, Lisa, Jessica, Katie, waited helplessly, the air thick with worry. But then came the first breath of relief. Lou opened her eyes in the hospital, greeted by Peter and Katie. Her injuries were serious, a broken leg and swelling on the brain, but Lou was conscious, and her fighting spirit hadn't dimmed. As she recovered, so did the family's emotional wounds. Katie, deeply shaken, admitted she didn't want to fight anymore. It was a quiet, powerful truce that brought mother and daughter closer than ever. And then came the most soul-stirring scene of the episode. Amy, Jack, and Tim gathered at Lou's bedside not just to visit, but to truly connect. Years of unspoken pain bubbled to the surface as Lou, vulnerable and tearful, spoke about the terrifying moments lying alone in the dirt. Her thoughts hadn't turned to resentment or old grudges. Instead, she thought only of the people she loved: Amy, Katie, Georgie, Peter, Jack, and Tim. That near-death experience shattered her pride and left behind only clarity. Lou admitted she'd let the feud with Nathan Price twist afar, and that it was time to let go. Time to rebuild, to listen, to forgive. And when she turned to Amy and apologized truly, deeply, for putting her in an impossible position, something incredible happened. Amy reassured her with quiet grace, and years of competition and buried resentment melted away. Their embrace was more than reconciliation, it was a rebirth of sisterhood. As Lou's body healed, so did her spirit. She spoke with Georgie, reassuring her she was okay. Then Peter delivered the news we'd all been waiting for. Lou's MRI was clear. No complications, just a long road of rest and recovery ahead. But this is Lou Fleming. Rest? Not exactly in her vocabulary. Before she even left the hospital, Lou had a plan. Heartland's annual open house would go on, not just as an event, but as a statement that the ranch stood for healing, resilience, and family, injured or not. She was ready to lead, and slowly, Amy, Jack, and Tim found themselves swept up in her determination. The open house wasn't just a celebration, it was a triumph. Amy, sensing Lou needed something deeper, surprised her with a challenge: reconnect with Stetson, the horse she'd sent away during her accident. Hesitant at first, Lou faced her fears, and with Amy's steady encouragement, she reached out and Stetson walked to her. The crowd erupted as horse and rider reunited, a powerful symbol of trust restored and healing begun. But the episode saved one of its most poignant moments for the end: Caleb's confession. From the start, Caleb had been a rock racing to get help, comforting Amy, supporting Lindy, but beneath it all, he'd been hiding something. As the open house buzzed with life, he quietly pulled Amy aside. With raw honesty, Caleb revealed the truth. His change in flight posture earlier in the season hadn't been random. It was a way to distance himself from Amy, from feelings he couldn't quite sort out. He wasn't ready then. But now, with everything laid bare, he admitted it was time to stop running. He missed her. He still cared, and he wanted to find out what that meant dashed together in a single episode. Heartland reminded us why this series continues to capture heart season after season. It's not just the horses, it's not just the ranch, it's the family, the healing, the second chances. And season 19, episode 10 gave us all of that and more. But that time apart had given him something unexpected, clarity. He realized that, while Amy would always be important to him, he had to let go of the past to move forward with his future. And then, with a hesitant smile, he revealed that he had recently reconnected with someone from a chapter long closed but never forgotten. Someone who still understood his heart without him having to say a word. Amy was stunned, unsure of where this was going until she saw the flicker of familiarity in his eyes. Caleb told her that person was Ashley Stanton, his ex-wife, the one who once broke his heart, but who had also been a part of some of the most defining moments in his life. He wasn't sure where things would go, but something about it just felt right. Later that day, Heartland fans were treated to one of the episode's sweetest surprises, Ashley herself arriving at the open house. There was no drama, no tension, just an authentic, quiet reconnection between two people who had been through the storm and somehow found their way back. As the music started up, Ashley and Caleb shared a slow dance under the golden light of the Hudson sunset, talking and laughing like no time had passed. It was clear this wasn't just nostalgia, it was something real, a new beginning rooted in mutual respect and shared history. Before taking Ashley on a romantic sunset flight, their unofficial first date, Caleb paused to thank Amy once more, and in a beautiful full-circle moment, Amy reassured him that he wasn't crazy for following his heart. Their exchange was a touching nod to how far they both come, and how deeply they still care for one another as friends and as family. Amy and Nathan's reunion, but if we're talking about heartfelt reunions, we have to dive into the emotional centerpiece of this episode, the long-awaited reconnection between Amy and Nathan. Their relationship has danced on the edge of uncertainty for much of the season, hesitant, complicated, and quietly charged with emotion. And in this episode, everything changed. It started simply. Amy, after being stranded while working with Stetson, found herself walking home. That's when Nathan happened upon her by chance, offering a ride after hearing about Lou's accident. What could have been a routine moment quickly became something more, a quiet reminder of how naturally their paths continued to cross and how deeply they still understood one another. Nathan's vulnerability surfaced not long after, following a heartfelt fishing trip conversation with Jack and Tim. Nathan made the tough decision to move his aging father into an assisted living facility. Knowing how calming Amy had been to Nathan Sr. in the past, he asked for her help with the transition. Without hesitation, Amy agreed, and once again, her presence made all the difference. Though initially confused and resistant, Nathan Sr. grew more at ease with Amy nearby, even mistaking her for her late mother, Marion. Amy played along gently, her heart full of compassion. When Nathan Sr. refused Nathan's offer to eat lunch in the facility cafeteria, it was Amy who changed his mind and joined him for a quiet, meaningful meal that helped ground the experience in something human and hopeful. Still, Nathan declined Amy's invitation to the open house, explaining that he needed to stay with his father. Amy understood, or at least, she thought she did. But later that evening, while playing a board game with his dad, Nathan received a simple text from Amy thanking him for arranging the band. When he smiled at the message, Nathan Sr. noticed and couldn't help but pry. Is she the first person you think about in the morning and the last person at night? He asked, blunt and sincere. Nathan hesitated, but the answer was yes. That was all his father needed to hear. Then there's nothing complicated about it, he said. A kiss, a question, and a storm on the horizon, which started as a quiet moment by the lake, turned into one of the most powerful turning points of the entire season. As the open house wound down, Amy found herself standing alone, watching loved ones pair off into the golden evening light, Caleb with Ashley, Lou with Peter, Jack with Lisa. And though the event had been a triumph, Amy felt a quiet ache creeping in. The stillness around her only made the loneliness sharper, until Nathan appeared. He didn't come with swagger or speeches, just quiet honesty, with visible emotion. He told Amy he couldn't stay away anymore, that he loved her, and Amy, heart pounding and eyes filled with something between shock and relief, said it back. Their kiss wasn't dramatic, it was intimate, earned and real, a moment forged from trust, pain, and slow burning connection. But it wasn't a fairy tale. Ending, as they stood close, Amy asked the question that hung heavy in the air. What are we going to do about this? Because love, especially here at Heartland, is never simple. It's tangled in family, grief, and the demands of real life. That question didn't signal doubt, it opened a door. One that promises new beginnings, but also new challenges. Because just as this emotional high took root, a new storm rolled in. Enter Gracie Price, the new power player, just as Nathan was letting love guide him. His past came roaring back. Gracie Price, Nathan's estranged and headstrong older sister, made her surprise return this episode, and not with open arms. She arrived like a force of nature, bold, unapologetic, and holding a legal trump card, power of attorney from their father, which made her co-owner of Price Beef overnight. Her timing couldn't have been worse. Nathan had just begun building a bridge toward Heartland, both personally and professionally. Gracie, she came ready to blow that bridge to pieces, where Nathan saw cooperation and peace. Gracie saw weakness and betrayal. She scoffed at his efforts to partner with Heartland, branding it as colluding with the enemy. Worse still, she accused Nathan of being soft on Amy, and it wasn't a compliment. Gracie didn't just talk tough, she took action, attending the open house under the guise of a curious guest. When she introduced herself to Lou, her true intentions were hidden behind a practiced smile. But viewers could feel it. She's here to stir the pot, and she's not leaving quietly. Gracie's presence signals a new chapter in the rivalry between Heartland and Price Beef One. That could test Nathan and Amy's fragile new connection in ways neither of them is ready for. Tim's crossroads in a grandfather's heart while storms brewed elsewhere. Tim stood at a crossroads of his own, having postponed the start of his high-profile rodeo announcing job to support Lou. He found himself questioning everything. The job would pull him away for weeks at a time, just as his family needed him most. Jessica encouraged him to follow his passion, even if it meant distance. But fate had another card to play, an ultrasound photo from Shane, revealing Tim would soon be a grandfather. The moment hit hard. For a man who's fought so long to rebuild broken family bonds, the idea of missing this new chapter was too much. At the open house, Jack handed Tim a symbolic gift, a bolo tie bearing Heartland's emblem. In return, Tim revealed his decision. He was turning down the job. He wasn't ready to miss out on fatherhood again this time. He'd stay, and in a beautiful moment with Jessica dancing under the stars, she reminded him he hadn't given up a dream. He'd simply chosen a different one for now. Katie's moment of truth finally. It was Katie who delivered one of the episode's most quietly powerful storylines. When she received her acceptance letter to the Vancouver Fine Arts School, it should have been a dream come true, but instead of joy, she felt hesitation. Her growing bond with Dodger, the neglected horse she'd helped care for, mirrored her inner struggle. Like the horse, she felt lost, unwanted, uncertain of where she truly belonged. In her heart-to-heart with Lou and Peter at the open house, Katie asked to keep Dodger and then dropped the bigger surprise she decided not to move to Vancouver. She admitted that pretending to be older, to rush into adulthood, had left her feeling hollow. What she needed now wasn't distance, it was time. Time to rediscover herself at Heartland, surrounded by the people who loved her most. Her decision wasn't just a turning point for Katie. It was a reminder that sometimes growing up means knowing when to pause, to breathe, and to stay rooted before you fly. One episode. Countless turning points, from Amy and Nathan's long-awaited confession, to Gracie Price's thunderous arrival, to Tim's powerful decision and Katie's quiet clarity. This episode didn't just wrap up a season. It planted the seeds for what could be the most emotional and dramatic Heartland chapter yet. If this truly is the end of season 19, it ended not with a whisper but with a promise that love, family, and the fight for what matters most will always be worth it. This episode felt like a beautiful blend of closure and new beginnings, bringing long-simmering storylines to a touching conclusion while quietly opening the door to whatever might come next. If CBC gives us the gift of a season 19, there's no doubt these evolving relationships and life-changing moments will continue to blossom. The open house wasn't just a backdrop for drama, it was a symbol, a celebration of healing, family, community, and love. It reminded us that no matter what challenges the Heartland family faces, they always find their way back to each other. And that's what makes this show so special. From Lou's powerful recovery to Tim's heartfelt decision, to Caleb finding peace, Katie discovering her path, and Amy and Nathan finally opening their hearts. It was an episode filled with everything we love about Heartland. Now, it's your turn. Let's talk Heartland. Did Lou's accident shift your outlook in a way you saw coming? Were you moved by Tim's heartfelt choice to stay close to family? But what did you think of Amy and Nathan finally sharing that long-awaited kiss? Plus, Caleb and Ashley. That reunion definitely hit us right in the feels. And how incredible was it to see Cindy Busby return as Ashley Stanton? A perfect dose of Heartland nostalgia. Drop your thoughts in the comments. I read every single one. And your perspectives, theories, and heartfelt reactions make these recaps more meaningful than you know. Thank you for being here, whether you've followed along all season or just tuned in for the finale. Your presence means everything. This channel wouldn't be what it is without you. And I'm so grateful to share this journey with such a passionate and thoughtful Heartland community. Until next time, stay grounded, stay hopeful, and never stop believing in second chances. We'll be back with more Heartland content soon, especially if Season 19 becomes a reality. Fingers crossed. Thanks for watching, and as always, much love from the ranch.